Hello, everybody. Wanted to welcome you to the first edition of Dale's Rails. Hope everybody's doing well, especially with the holidays coming up and everything. Uh, I'm kicking off my channel here. It's something that I've been anticipating doing for a while and haven't really gotten around to do it for one reason or another. Uh, I did recently go to our local train show, which was last weekend, and got some items there I can share with you. But the main crux of my channel here is going to be uh, all things O-scale railroading. So I am into O-scale railroad. A little bit about my layout is it's conventional only, and I'm doing a basically a high rail layout of sorts. So um, hopefully some of the content that I plan on doing is something you can use for your own use if you're working on something like this, uh, or if you plan on just doing anything that's hobby related. I'll be showing different techniques. First of all, I should let you know I am not a professional at any of this. I mean, the only thing I'm a professional at was an electrician. I was an electrician for 47 years. I retired, and my plan was to find something to do that would keep me sharp in my electrical wiring skills. Plus, I just wanted to do, when I seen a detailed layout, I just was excited to be able to combine, take a chance of combining 3D and 2D art together like this. It's nothing I've ever done before, so bear in mind it's not perfect, but as we all know, it only has to satisfy, please us. So keep in mind, I'm what I'm showing you is just something I'm sharing. Hopefully, it doesn't come off as this is the only way. Sometimes I get a little bit over enthusiastic about some of the results that I get. Sometimes it can tend to probably seem that way. So today, one of the things I bought at the train show is I finally got a set of crossing signals that I was planning on doing on this part of my layout over here. I already had a cantilevered signal over here, but I have a double main line. It was something that I was going to incorporate and make into a post-war style crossing signals, but they were just too large for the area right there. And then having the double track main line kind of presented an issue. I bought some of the Lionel 153 IR controllers here. Now, just because I'm an electrician doesn't mean I've done everything. I have not wired this, but being an electrician, we know how to wire anything. So I will show you guys how I plan to hook this up, because I'm going to be using two of these to control two gate crossings and to sound the gate crossing, and the signal or the bell sound I'm using is an MTH product. I don't have a lot of MTH on my layout, so I'm fine with using their crossings. This wiring dot connection is that I'm going to show you is basic for any two wire accessory. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that. I will be completing this complete crossing. But for now, I already had this scenic in, and I kind of knew I was going to maybe possibly do this someday. And so, as you can see, part of the problem of working on a layout, you're going to be messing up stuff sometimes and redoing it. It's not a big deal. I've already kind of did all the the demo work on this. And what you're seeing there, I just used where the two signals are, because I had an irregular grade there, and I wanted those signals down a little bit more to grade, like the bridge here. I had to use a product. I just decided to use some drywall mud. So my crossings there, grade crossings, they're all just drywall mud and masonite and 1/4 inch masonite. So it's something that it doesn't matter what you're putting down, really. You can paint anything to look like anything. So the painting is another part of the hobby I plan to share with you. It's nothing I'm professional at, so don't get me don't think that I know what I'm doing. I'm just learning like the rest of you. I've just been able to take advantage of a lot of content creators out there that are very good at their craft at doing this, and so for me, I kind of picked it up pretty easily. I think just their techniques sometimes make it easy for guys like me to be able to learn their technique almost from the get-go. So one of the things I'm going to be doing here, these the beauty of having paint and make it look like anything you want. It didn't look very realistic to me to have a white base like that. It should be more of a concrete base. So this base here, I'm just going to paint, and I just use plain cheap craft paint, like you can get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I do frequent Hobby Lobby a lot, so I use a lot of the Art Deco, just acrylic craft paint stuff I use. I mean, they make a lot of different products. This is flat. This grade crossing here, as you can see, or the 153R, I've already painted it. I wanted to have it a little bit more of a concrete tone. Like you can see the drastic difference here. The stark white on your layout is not something that is pretty natural looking. So for me, I planned on painting this just to help it blend in a little better to the scenery. So I'll show you a little bit of that technique that I use here. I've already put a base coat on this. I tend to, when I paint, the techniques that I've learned, don't be afraid to use water too. You can thin this down with water. It's water base. The colors I use, the weathering way to weather anything or paint most anything on the outside of anything that sits outside, like concrete or brick or metal or tar paper. Anything is just basically using different colors, and using multiple colors is kind of the key. So a lot of times I will be using several colors at once. Like here I got a light gray, which this gray here is gray sky. And then this is a zinc, so a really dark gray. I've kind of already have a little bit of the zinc in here on this. So a little bit of this, just a little bit of the dark color goes a long way. Slate gray is a kind of a medium gray between the two, just to give it some different coloration. Khaki is a very popular, to me, concrete color. Your concrete is a little bit more, if you go outside and look at concrete, it's a little bit more khaki than gray would suggest. Your newer concrete may be more gray, but once it's aged and weathered, it kind of turns to a khaki color. So just simply this is just nothing more than a piece of tile sponge that I cut up, and and just use different colors, and you're going to be doing like a kind of a dry brush effect. And so I want that randomness in there. So I'll go ahead and apply this, and it's just pretty simple. You just daub it on there. It doesn't hurt if it's a little bit wet. the key here on this is electronic component, so I really don't want it to get water inside here. So that was one of the things trying to paint this. Painting it with the sponge, you can see how easy that goes. That's all you got to do. So I've got multiple colors going here at once, pretty much how it is in the real world. Things just aren't completely solid one color. And so it's just this easy to paint this to, especially if you want the weathered concrete, just that quick. And the beauty behind these craft paints or any acrylic paints, or artist paints, they're designed to blend anyway. So they're going to do natural blending on their own. If you got areas here that, you don't want to get that on, that you want to, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and flood this area here a little bit. You're going to get more of a flooded look around this, which is fine. That's the best way to create weathering, is really a flooded, water-based, watered down paint. And you just kind of play with it. I mean, this is almost something like a little kid would paint, So there's nothing really difficult about this to do weathered painting. So to me, to get this more of a concrete look, which is going to be a lot better than this stark white on the layout. The last thing we want on our layout is, especially when it's scenic, is stark white, just because it's not very natural. I mean, we're always trying to cover it up anyway. So you can see here, this coloring, I've got 4 colors in here, and I'm not stirring them to blend them. You don't really want to mix them together on purpose to blend them together to make it one uniform color. You want the randomness. And then it's okay to let this dry a little bit like that. It was kind of wet when I put it down. And but you can always take the sponge as it dries and then just go back over it here. And then you're going to get that more textured, flat look to it, which is going to knock away the glossy look as well. And just that simple. Just continue to go over this. We're painting it that quick and weathering that quick. That's all it takes to paint and weather this. It's nothing difficult. Goes quick. The nice thing about the acrylics is they dry super fast. So this is going to be, by the time I get done painting it, it's just about going to be dry. So, that's another coat of paint on there that's changed that a little bit. This way you can also vary your concrete. I tend to paint all my concrete the same way. So with the same colors, they may vary in degree a little bit. You can do other things later as this dries a little bit. You can highlight certain areas with the darker, especially around these edges. Darken that up a little bit. That's going to give it more of a, like a dirt look along the edges here. So take your darker grays here. That's okay to kind of go around these edges a little bit. You just want to be careful and not overdo it. Just because you don't want it solid. And then if you get it, if you get too much, you just go back in and get some of these other lighter colors and go back over. It's no big deal. And then you can just that easy, you've lightened that spot back up right there. And then you still get this darker weathered look around the edge of there. And then to blend it in a little better, take the sponge back over it, and then that'll get it incorporated in there so that you get that more blended look. I'm fine with the gray of this. I didn't want the concrete to be the gray as this. I want some contrast here. So, but I really, before I put this on permanently on the layout, this isn't such a big deal. I know this is just acrylics. I took a risk here painting this, without any primer or anything. It wasn't something I felt like I wanted to take a chance trying to shoot primer down on this, just for the reason that, it's going to be difficult. I would have had to probably take this apart, which there are some stuff I do that with. I will take it apart to paint it. And it's just that this was something I didn't want to mess with taking apart. So I'm fine just painting like that. Like I say, take the brush and do these edges, because it's a little bit hard to sponge paint along the edges. And then you can always take the sponge back over the edge like this and get in there as much as you can. That's the best way to do that. So hit it with a brush and then go back over it with the sponge and just keep working the sponge on it. And then you'll get that eventually all blended in. So just like that, we've got us an actual concrete base rather than a white painted concrete base. And having more of these natural earth tones like that rather than this white, glaring white, it's going to blend in a little bit better to the layout. So it's not going to stand out. It's not going to be overwhelming unless you want it to stand out like that. But for me, I will just paint stuff if it doesn't suit what I after. While I'm here, we can go ahead and just go ahead and paint the next one, since this one turned out like I planned. That's a little bit too much of that. That was not. And it takes very little of this paint. As you can see, a little of this paint goes a long way. So, we'll just take this here, start going over it. As a rule of thumb, you kind of want to put the darker base coat down and then do the lighter over it. Just to have it, give it more depth. So I'll tend to just go with my darker colors first. And this really doesn't take long to paint. Doing it this way. Don't freak out if the first coat doesn't look all that great. That's your base coat. That's kind of normal. Like I say, it will dry a little bit more, so not to worry too much. I just take brushes in the areas it's kind of hard to hit with a sponge. I'll just take and do a brush along the edge, along these edges, just to hide that. It's that quick. Kind of blend that in so it's not look like it's been brushed on there. And then now these IR controllers I bought them used off of eBay, so they have been used before, it looks like. Okay. I sponge paint a lot of my surfaces, anything concrete, masonry, shingle, metal, stone, all that I paint with the sponge just because it gives you and with multiple colors, because it's easier to blend like colors simultaneously, you know. And like I said, the way weathering occurs, it builds up like this anyway, naturally. So it's something that happens in nature. You have to kind of do it the same way. You have to do it in layers. So sometimes it might take a little longer, but it's quick to do. Here I got and you don't have to freak out and worry if you're making an ugly mess like this one. It'll look like that when you're done. Like say you put enough layers on and more coats, you'll end up getting a uniform look, but it'll still be random. What you really don't want, you don't want the kind of a streak look to this, like it's been brushed on with a paintbrush. You want to try to avoid that. And then, before it dries, I mean, it does dry fast, but with a little bit of water, you can activate it to where you can actually rub, like I will, if it starts to dry in a streak like that, I will just take and rub it with the sponge and then go back over it real quick and dab it like that. Take those streak lines out. You don't want those streaky lines in there like that. You want this more random look. And like I say, it's okay if it dries that way, because if you're going to be doing another coat, we'll let this dry up a little bit, because it's kind of wet. Got a little bit of water in here, The water is a good thing to use, especially if you want to wet blend something. Whoops. And you can see how quickly this one here's dried. I'm not going to say that that's finished dry, but it's not going to come off on my fingers. So that's a nice thing about the acrylics. It dries really quick. Just like that, that's dry. And I'm going to go back in here with a little bit more color. Different colors. Like that. Give me more of a kind of a beige colored concrete look. This is a good way to paint, like I say, stone or masonry, bricks or anything. Same way. It ain't a big deal if you get some on there. You can just take it off real easy. The thing about doing it this way, you really don't have to freak out, because if you don't like it, you just go over it again. And that's the good thing about doing weathering, is it actually looks better the more you go over it sometimes, because you're building more layers. So you can see you get that random. I don't have a solid gray or a solid khaki, or it's more of a random look, which is going to give you more of a, when it dries, a more of a natural random concrete look. You can see it takes very little paint. Very little paint. And then, you know, to kind of finish this off, I'll kind of go back in here with a little bit of water and do my flooding process along these edges here, just to darken up along the edges. You know, that's where your dirt, you know, accumulates anyway along these edges. A lot of times, you know, I'll wait till they dry maybe a little further. Just I like doing it now just because I can still kind of blend that in. Take away any harsh edge by using this sponge. You want more of a blended look edge on there. And like I say, I'm not too worried about getting it up on the cabinet itself. In fact, you know, that might be where you want to put some grime anyway. Just because that's where it collects. Seems. You know, with rainwater splashing down on the ground around things, that's why it gets that darker effect along the edges like that. And just like that, we got two different bases, but they're very similar in look. You know, and if you want to incorporate a little bit more of the beige, now would be the time to do the beige. Go back in there with the beige. This is, like I say, the khaki color. I can make this look a little more khaki, which is fine. You know, there's different aging. You know, that's the thing on a railroad like this. When you're doing stuff, especially weathering, you don't want everything to look the same anyway. So when you're doing your weathering, it helps to, you know, you can't help it but get into a kind of a groove, but doing this, sometimes you just kind of go back to the same thing. But so just be mindful of that, you know, that's why I'm not real stickler for, you know, aging something heavy weathering, just because you know, I want more of a little bit more of a subtle aging, but you don't want all your structures to look like they were painted on the same day. You know, your town is going to vary. I mean, everything wasn't built on the same day in a town, so all your structures should vary. You know, there's always good to have a little bit of weathering here and there, but you know, it just depends on the degree of weathering that you want to do. So there that is. Now we got two IR controllers that aren't those glaring white bases. So you can see this is a little grayer than that one. I may put this one over here. Just to give a little bit more of a contrast. And show you this real quick. Okay, so there's that one in place. That one's going to go there roughly. And the other one will go in that spot I flattened out over here. I'll put you guys down here. Here we go. Okay. Put this other IR controller over here. And then this other one will be going here. Once this white area is here dry, I will be painting that my earth tone colors. That's more of the colors I use to mix my earth colors. Pretty much the same color. So I wanted more of a kind of a light tan type earth for my earth that shows through. Another thing that I do with my scenery is I make these mats here, and what's nice about them, you just pick them up and lay them down, so you got instant turf. You can cover quite a bit of an area this way without actually putting down. What I like about it is you can see here, kind of hard to do with one hand. You can see here, you can pull this out and make this, make like the earth show through. Gives you a little bit more of a realistic look, letting some of this earth color show through. All this is just quilt batting. I make this myself out of quilt batting. I can probably do a video on that, show you how I do that. And it's pretty easy to do too. Nice thing about it, you can cover a lot of scenic with it quick. And then if you want to just take it up, you can. My plan here was to possibly do it this way, so I could also maybe do different scenery, like I could change this to snow and make this a winter scene. That's one of my thoughts. I'm not sure how well that's going to work yet, but I've seen some structures. Some of the Christmas structures, I thought some of those are kind of neat to use. They're making some pretty neat structures now for Christmas. That could be double as a model railroad scenery for Christmas scene. So I've seen some, a hunting lodge, a fishing lodge, gas stations, that type of thing that are all decorated for Christmas with Christmas lights and that type of thing. And while I'm on that subject, I got something here I'd like to show you that's kind of neat. I mean, some of this stuff's at Menards. This is probably one of the neater items they had that they sell, really. And it was pretty reasonably priced. I think this was $40. So we got a little airship here that it's got different settings here. Hope this will come out right. I've tried it once on, the LEDs on here. This light doesn't light up. This propeller moves around, but it displays Merry Christmas in lights. So it's kind of neat. That's not really the way it's supposed to look. So hopefully I can get this to, okay, we can do it without the music also. It's got two different settings. So it's not really displaying it correctly. Maybe it will here in a little bit. I think this camera has a problem. It's trying to get it. That's the way it's supposed to do. That really stays solid Merry Christmas, and then it rotates back and forth. It doesn't flash on and off like that. So this should stay solid Merry Christmas. It may just be the camera angle I have. Seem like makes a difference. Or maybe it takes a while for the camera. There we go. It's starting to try to do it. No, it's still flashing. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. So it's kind of a neat little item. I thought was kind of cute. Not saying that's something you'd want to use on your model railroad, but I don't see why you couldn't. It's something you could put in I'm not saying you want to put it on top of a building like that, but something you could maybe hang from the ceiling to display as an airship. They do have they do have a Ferris wheel and some parachutes activated. I think Lowe's did too. Lowe's had a really neat gas station that was decorated for Christmas. It was pretty sharp. And so, these are just some things that I thought I'd share with you that I ran into. These crossing signals, I'll finish those up some other time. Right now, I got to let some stuff dry. But for now, I thought I would just kind of give you an idea what I plan to do on this part of the layout here, and show you how I can wire those two IR controllers to those crossing signals and the sound on it. And so it won't matter. I've got trains on these two outer loops. My main lines here, one runs in one direction, one runs in the other. So I haven't really tried out yet to see how the delay is going to work on this. So one of the things that I ran into on these, I don't know if it's normal, but I noticed that even with the sensitivity all the way out, only one of these could I adjust far enough, and I had to have that sensor very close to one track. Would it pick up the other train on the other line? One sensor wouldn't pick it up at all. It'd only pick up the track closest to the sensor. So that's why I decided just to go ahead and do two. Not only that, but doesn't look right for the lights to come on when the train is going the opposite direction and doesn't trip the sensor until it almost gets into the tunnel. So it's already past the crossing. So that's why I ended up doing it this way. This wiring diagram is also available on Lionel's site if you want to download their instructions. There's some other instructions in there to do a more complicated signal crossing with lights and the gates. Looks a little more complicated. You're going to have to buy relays and diodes and that type thing to make it work. But this should work with just your standard 2-wire accessories. All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this second segment of the video today, and I will keep in touch with you on the updates on to the layout now. Maybe when I got more time to actually spend time making some videos on this. If any of you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, or if you got any criticism, don't hesitate to point them out. So, like I said, I'm learning just like most people when they're building the layout. So, part of this is about fun aspect of it. So, hopefully we can keep it fun. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good day.